Testing my microphone. Can anybody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you, Mr. Valenzuela. And concerned citizen, I got Rick rolled. Well played. Thank you very much.
We can't hear anything.
Thought it was just me. I will send them a text. Stand by.
I already did.
Well, take all the fun out of my job, why don't you? Not to add work to anybody here, but I am on a cell phone because I am traveling at the moment. Is anybody able to call the fire station at 530-626-9017? It will advise them that they are muted.
Oh, that one.
Try again.
Ah, now we can hear you guys.
Yeah. I'm not the host, but at least we can hear now.
So can you hear me in Zoom land?
If that's Mrs. Blaine, I think I can.
Yes, that's Mrs. Blaine.
Yes.
Well, actually, this is Meredith Blaine. My Mrs. Blaine happens to be my mother. Okay, here, you take that. Okay, Dax is hosting a meet and greet of the District 4 Board of Supervisors candidates on Saturday at 4 p.m. at the Pavilion at Finnan Lake. And the whole community is invited. Well, it may be a little chilly. We'll have some hot cocoa and some coffee to serve. So we hope everybody would like to come and meet them. And it's going to be very casual. It's not going to be like a debate. It's going to be a brief introduction, and then community members will have an opportunity to ask questions that they're concerned about. And that's it for Dax. So my public comment is a question. I read through the agenda, and it seemed clear to me that Eddie Dwyer is not working at this time. I took that based on the report that I read that Bill wrote the notes from your meeting. Okay.
March 31st, I
Okay.
was told by Lori Parlin that per Linnea, that statement.
Okay. So my question is, I see all these payables, and I'm wondering who is responsible, accountable for the money that's being spent with regard to the budget, since Eddie's not that person. So that's my question.
We still have acting chief Bravo until there is a release to return. Then we will have more information. But right now, we still have acting chief Bravo, and he is our line of what do we call it command structure. Yeah, he's our chief.
Okay, so he's responsible for the budget and for all the payables, approving them to the county. Is that the proper? He's approving the payables that are being sent to the county and signing off on all the purchase orders. Maybe he could answer that question.
Bravo, are you?
I'm here, but I'm under the question public comments, public comment. No questions need or must be answered.
Correct.
So appreciate the question.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, it'd be great if the board could clarify that for the public because I know the budget planning's coming up and I understand that the chiefs were not involved in the latest. Yeah, and so, as a tax-paying citizen, I'm concerned about who's being held accountable for the expenses of the department.
Duly noted. Appreciate the question and can assure you that command staff as well as your board will have everything adopted and or approved and given in the timely manner to which it's supposed to. And we do sure appreciate the company or excuse me, the community questions regarding such matters as taxpayers. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Hand up, concerned citizen, go ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. The sound quality is so much better.
Awesome.
I did want to let you guys know that. And I also wanted to take this time to remind you guys that I do have a records request in, and I believe we are 7 or 8 days into that. As you guys should probably know, there's a little bit of a time limit for response, etc. So I think we have a couple of days left on it. So I just wanted to remind you guys that there's a records request in. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, concerned citizen. I am going to take this time because we did check in with legal. We were kind of unsure. It was difficult because I didn't have a recording from the meeting. That's on me. For some reason, the toggle was switched off on other than regular meetings. But I did talk to our legal, and he said that for this reason, so that we can determine a narrow scope, or that we can communicate any additional needs or how to get them to you. He said that so the public records request assumes that you have contact information for the requester. For example, you must provide an initial response to request within 10 days, stating whether you have responsive records and whether you're invoking exemptions to withhold certain records or make redactions, or within that first 10 days, explain why unusual circumstances require you to take an extension. And so he said that if you're unable to determine whether you have records, we also have an obligation to try to help someone clarify and correct their request if we're telling them that it doesn't reasonably describe identifiable public records. And so we can't do this if we can't contact the requester. So there's two things there. The Brown Act does indeed say you're absolutely allowed to remain anonymous for the purpose of public comment and participating in our public meetings. And also, it kind of doesn't work the same way. We can take oral requests, and we are required to accommodate that for public records requests. But the recommendation from our legal was that if you wouldn't mind, it's very simple to come up with a non-identifiable email or a non-identifiable phone number online for free. If you wouldn't mind emailing us with the exact information you're looking for, that would be a way that you could remain anonymous, but we could still make sure that we get your scope.
I would hate to interrupt you, but I'm gonna. Well, as per the agenda, they were supposed to be meeting materials. They should have been meeting materials. So what I'm asking for is post-meeting materials, even though whoever that was that said they went through them 10 days prior to the meeting, they actually made the agenda, I believe, on April 9th, as per the metadata that I pulled from the record. So they had gone through those receipts prior to making that agenda, and on the agenda it says those receipts were going to be at the meeting. So those receipts were already required to be posted online, right? So I believe you guys should fulfill that records request by adding it as post-meeting materials to that meeting. I am not going to create an email for convenience. I I do have the right for an oral request. I did say that you guys can communicate with me through meetings. So, so there's that part. And then also you may fulfill it by posting it to your website as post-meeting materials. Thank you.
I will ask, you had noted at the last meeting, and we don't have the, like I said, the recording of the government codes and stuff that you had mentioned. We do want to fulfill requests, and I will do my best to make sure that any referenced receipts are made available. However, we do need to go back and look at that.
Yeah, I did ask for those receipts, and I'm not sure why an NDA, somebody with an NDA was only required to go through those receipts. Those are public records. They talk about finances. Those are disclosable to the public. Even your attorney's invoices are disclosable to the public.
Right.
So I do not think that, you know, even having that on that last agenda was appropriate at all. But I asked for the receipt, and I'm clarifying what I was asking for right now. I asked for the receipts that he was that were mentioned in the agenda that he went through, right? And then and I also asked for his NDA disclosure, which I'm allowed to have. And then I asked for those to be posted to your guys' website. So I believe, and I know that I'm within my legal parameters, and I don't see any problem fulfilling this at all. So
okay.
You guys could update me at meetings. That'd be great. I expect to get them to see them on your guys' website before the next meeting, because I believe you have one meeting a month. And we'll go from there. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, concerned citizen. We're going to go ahead and move on to other commenters, but I have noted your requests and we will continue through this process. Thank you very much. Do I have other public comments?
My comment deals with. Okay, so you're saying I can't talk about this now. All right.
The comment is items that are not on the agenda. Thank you. Any other public comment? Do we have hands? Sorry. No, but I do. So there was a communication sent, just came in wanting to be read for public comment. It's just a quick thank you from Karen Pullen and Mosquito Fire Safe Council. She says, I apologize for not being in attendance to read this statement myself. I would appreciate the board chair read this statement into the record during the public comment. On behalf of Mosquito Fire Safe Council, we would like to first and foremost thank Acting Chief Bravo for his support and leadership. It has been a pleasure to reach out to the command staff under his leadership and know that we can rely on him to be honest and straightforward with us, and have confidence that he will come directly to us with any concerns or questions he has regarding MFSC and our operation, and we in turn can go to him. On March 28th, MFSC hosted our Spring into Action Brunch, Defensible Space, Home Hardening Block event featuring CAL FIRE to prepare our community for their upcoming inspections. This was valuable information and an opportunity for the community to understand what to expect and not fear the upcoming inspections. Thank you, CAL FIRE. We're extremely fortunate and appreciative to have had Battalion Chief Foley in attendance, as well as BC Homesky and MFPD board members Linnea and Maria. We appreciate them taking time out of their schedules to come by and see some of our neighbors, as well as support our informational and educational efforts. It's an absolute team effort to keep our community informed and as prepared as possible. Karen Paul, MFPD support group, attended, and we were able to further our discussion on working together to bring information, education, and accurate messaging to our community on evacuation and wildfire preparedness. It is important to communicate and collaborate to find the best path forward to a safer and well-prepared community. Together we can achieve more. On Saturday, May 30th, MFSC will be hosting our evacuation ready event at Dyer Lake, featuring El Dorado County Sheriff's OES, Office of Emergency Services, showcasing our MFPD command staff, firefighters, and support group, as well as our county partner agencies and special surprise guests. We will be introducing new and exciting programs to benefit our community with preparedness and education on evacuation process and procedures. We look forward to seeing everyone and sharing a free meal, education, and activities. MFSC was fortunate to have one of our original assessors, Jerry Polin, attend and successfully complete the assessor refresher course sanctioned by CAL FIRE and sponsored by El Dorado County Fire Safe Council and Office of Wildfire Preparedness and Resilience. A lot of, anyway. We also had an additional MFSC, Mosquito Fire Safe Council member, attend and successfully complete the 2-day defensible space home hardening assessor training course to replace the assessor who has moved from the area. Congratulations to Sela Valiente. We are back to 4 assessors and looking forward to bringing this free program to our neighbors. Just a reminder, MFSC has a free community chipping event beginning on May 4th. Please encourage your neighbors to go to www.edcfiresafe.org and go to the chipping program to get signed up for this free opportunity. And last, congratulations to our recent Divide Fire Academy graduates, with special shout out to our MFPD graduates, Randy, Jaden, and Gavin. Thank you, Karen Pullen, MFSC Chair. Any other public comment? Yes.
So I'm giving a comment on behalf of some of the firefighters. I just want to remind everybody for the community events, which are amazing. We may want to park on one side because they were not able to get the bigger apparatus through when they drove by a couple times for some community events because there was parking on both sides. So if we can just remember for our community events that we all park on one side, because we have to keep in mind the roads are skinny and we have big apparatuses that need to get through in case of emergencies.
Just whatever you do, make sure, be reasonable, make sure that large apparatus can get through. And okay, hearing no other public comment, we'll go ahead and move on to adoption of the agenda and approval of consent calendar. We have 6.1 through 4 for minutes and 5 through 10 for expenses. The board may make any necessary additions, deletions, or corrections to the agenda. Moving items to or from the consent calendar and adopt the agenda and consent calendar with one single vote. A board member may request an item be removed for discussion and separate board action. All right, and at appropriate time as called by the board chair, members of the public may make comment on matters of the consent calendar prior to board action. All right, approval of minutes.
Agenda items. Would you change one?
Sure. What do you have?
7.4. That's listed as me. It's not. It should be county.
You put it as me and then Miss Phillips. All right. Trent, you had stuff on minutes?
Yeah, I think we probably need to separate all 3 of the minutes rather than having them on the consent calendar. And I'll pass out any corrections. On the first set was the December 18th meeting minutes, which got some additional corrections. And I think we may have missed on the information that was provided in the package, some of the corrections that were suggested from the last meeting. So I'm passing out the highlighted items that didn't get covered in an addition that was made there. So we need to decide whether these are acceptable or corrections to this item, and then hopefully go ahead and approve.
I'm saying is just making sure that we have clarification on what actions were taken. So I see no issue with approving with these changes recommended by Director Williams. It's December 18th. Does anybody have input? Okay, we'll go ahead and take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yeah, please. I'm getting ahead of myself. Do I have a motion to approve the December 18th minutes with the changes as highlighted by Trent?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Right. So, any opposed, say nay. And we'd have no abstain. All right. So, okay, Trent, you needed anything on Feb 6th or 26th?
Yeah. Okay.
This isn't it. We got tabs on everything, but it's still shuffling papers.
Got extra. Okay. So for the February 26th, there's just some changes with regard to individuals making the motion, et cetera. I think they're on 712. I think one of the motions originally was captured, but there was actually two motions made during that 7.12 agenda item. So I'll let you look at those. And if there's more here than what we feel comfortable with, why obviously we
Yeah. Again, I'm not seeing anything I'm opposed to. It looks like the changes would be adding to make sure that we have that we voted in and appointed, that the Board of Supervisors appointed Director Rodriguez. And then it also adds that I had requested that 7.12 and 7.6 be moved up. Yeah, this seems just clarifying to me.
Yeah, let me ask one question. I wasn't sure
yeah,
what we should do in case of the meeting being carried over to the next evening. Didn't know if we needed to have two separate meeting minutes based on there being two different meeting times. So maybe that needs to be an added item.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
it would need to be.
we have all the information here from both meeting nights or meeting days, I guess, but I think it doesn't.
So then that was Feb 26th.
Yeah.
Okay, so we might want to pull that one to fix it, separating it out. How do you guys feel about pulling Feb 26th?
Yeah. Well, the question is, Shar, is the listing at the bottom suggests that we continue, has continued the meeting, which would suggest there should be more information, but we actually included all the information on this set of minutes. And then I don't know, maybe it's just a matter of putting down in the adjournment section at the bottom that there were two different meeting times and two different adjournment times. Just
Do you know that? Yeah, we would have to separate it.
Yeah, we gotta change that.
Because it was, okay.
Two different meetings.
So I make a motion that we pull the February 26th regular board meeting minutes to be separated into the two dates. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. All right. Yes, ma'am.
Number is signed. Notarized, Eugene. They're expecting.
Oh, they want to see the minutes where we voted it?
Well, I signed saying that it was approved. Right, but if the minutes are delayed, isn't that going to change?
I don't think so. The vote was taken and then it was approved and all the stuff that we talked about in open meeting for legal was all dealt with. So I think we're okay on that. Unless they need to be. Okay, so again, I think, yeah, we're pulling the Feb 26th for now. Trent, did you have something on March 24th?
Oh, I'm sorry. March 24th. No, I have nothing changed there.
Bill, did you have anything on that one?
Double checking.
Okay.
No, I'm not seeing anything.
All right. So with that, I will make a motion to approve the March 24th special meeting training minutes. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Hearing none. '26. Trent?
Okay. So yeah, I just handed out suggested corrections for March 26th. Again, this basically was, I think, just adding the additional motion information potentially on a couple of these items for clarification, and then Yeah, I don't think we had in that first section, I don't think we had that we did move the January 22nd. We made a motion to approve January 22nd, but I don't think that was captured on the provided minutes, so that was added. And I'll let you look at the other changes there to see if you have any issues, but. No, you didn't get it going.
No, I'll give it right back.
I know I had an extra. That's all right. You can keep it. I had an extra.
It has your name.
Yeah.
Oh.
There you go.
There we go. There. Pretty thorough to me. Does anybody have any objections? Or sorry, I make a motion that we approve with Trent's changes. Do I have a second to discuss?
Okay.
All right, any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, say no, nay. All right. Moving on, we have our expenses, February 25th, February 26th, February 27th, March 26th, April 13th, and April 14th. Do we have any reason we shouldn't acknowledge these expenses? All right, hearing none. Can I get a motion to approve 6.5 through 6.10 or acknowledge?
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
I was just gonna.
Sorry, would you make the motion, please? Someone.
Make a motion to acknowledge 6.1 through 6.4, you said?
6.5 through 6.10.
6.5 through 6.0. Okay, make a motion to approve or to discuss?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Mm-hmm.
We can't hear Taffy.
Oh, use the mic. Right up here, Taffy, this mic. Oh, yeah. You just turned the button.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Loud
Can you
and
hear me
clear.
now? Okay, I would just introduce the question of formally when we would be looking at these type of transactions and how they were charged. If they were charged back to a particular grant, it was also indicated on that particular receivable page. I was just wondering if that is still being done. So it might say R&R grant or 50/50 grant. And
Ropes are not R&R.
right, the ropes aren't, because that was ropes. And then my other question had to do with the ropes that were purchased, and then quite a few of those same purchases were returned for credit. And I was going to ask, did we get full credit on everything? Yeah, that was it. Thank you.
We're in discussion. Does the board have any reason we shouldn't acknowledge these expenses?
Acknowledge, yes, but the air exchange stuff is all charged to the wrong account. And I've already given the Shard the information on that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed say nay. Right, we. Because I'm making sure that we get things in the right categories and that we are designating what is going to grants and which grant. So we are going to go ahead and move on to issue item 7.1, Chief's Report. Are you available to give a Chief's Report, sir?
Yes, but Mosquito Fire Safe Council took all my good stuff. So now you guys just get the boring stuff.
They did.
First off, I'd like to acknowledge Supervisor Parlin and CAO Phillips. Thank you for being here. Sorry, I'm not. I feel terrible about that. It's been a crazy month for me. Last week, I attended the wedding of my son and then had a grandchild on Sunday. So it's been a crazy whirlwind week. So apologize for not being there. We'll kick it off with training this past month. Mosquito Fire Protection District proudly graduated 3 firefighters from the Divide Academy. All 3 members received their badges from family members. Battalion Chief Homsky was in attendance. It was a well-attended ceremony with strong family support. The district is excited to officially welcome these members and look forward to their service. Coincidentally, the EMT class began the week after. We currently have 4 students enrolled with an estimated graduation time frame of 10 weeks. We have 2 suppression members and 2 support group members, so very excited about that. I was informed 48 hours ago that the driver operator 1B class that was scheduled to begin at the end of the month and the first weekend in May has been postponed due to insufficient participation from partner agencies. Battalion Chief Foley is working on identifying new training dates and increased student participation. Further updates will be provided as they become available. Apparatus and equipment, we have taken delivery of new to us engine 75 and new to us water tender 275, which you guys should see. I believe they're in the back. If not, they're in the front, but you can't miss them because they're very pretty. And we've transferred engine 675 to the Amador Fire Protection District. That has been completed. Engine 75, if has not been listed yet, will be listed on Garage for sale. Current engine 75, the one we're getting rid of. The Ford will be repaired. Parts have been ordered. We will get the front end fixed, and then we will get that out to be sold as well. Continue with vehicle status. Staff's currently evaluating the cost effectiveness and long-term value of retaining the Ford Explorer we recently acquired from CAL FIRE and presently be assigned to BC Foley for use. Upon delivery of that vehicle, all the previously installed emergency lights, radio, siren controllers, and associated equipment were removed because they didn't realize they were selling it to a governmental agency, i.e. fire department. During that removal process, the vehicle wiring harnesses were significantly altered and cut, resulting in extensive electrical deficiencies. Initial professional evaluation estimated the repair costs at 15 to 20 grand to address basic wiring or basic functionality and wiring. When factoring in the additional costs required to fully place the vehicle into emergency service, such as radio acquisition, installation, emergency lighting, siren components, and vehicle striping, the project total investment increased between $20,000 and $30,000, in addition to the vehicle's original acquisition cost of a little over $5,000. So based on this assessment, staff will have to determine that if continued investment in this vehicle may or may not represent a fiscally prudent use of district funds, particularly when similar expenditures could be applied toward the purchase and outfitting of a newer, more reliable vehicle with a longer service life. As a result, district staff is exploring options to potentially surplus or remove the vehicle from the active inventory, including evaluating current market value and recovery of funds incurred to date. No action has been taken at this time, and further information will be provided as it becomes available. The other CAL FIRE vehicle update is we don't have one. Regarding the 3 pickups and utility previously promised to us pending the lifting of the Department of General Services hold, BC Bellarive has been in communication with Supervisor Parlin to seek assistance from an assembly member or state senator in advocating with DGS on our behalf. The goal is to emphasize the benefit of releasing these vehicles to fire agencies with operational needs rather than pursuing private market sales. The effort is ongoing with no additional updates at this time. The PG&E project remains on pace. There have been a couple cancellations due to the weather. Completion is still anticipated by May 22nd for the original permit. I received a new permit this morning, filed with El Dorado County relating upcoming work and potential closures. This permit will be forwarded to the board for awareness with a protest period, I believe, ending on May 5th. Administrative update for your chiefs. There's been some recent confusion regarding district command structure. Chief Dwyer is not currently back. There has been no change to leadership status. I continue to serve as my role as the acting chief, as your assistant chief, ensuring continuity of operations and administrations. And I have nothing further to tell you at this time.
Thank you very much, sir. Any questions, clarifications from the board? No? Yes, yes. Congratulations on the grandbaby and the wedding and a lot of wonderful stuff happening. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Scott, this is Taffy. Can you hear me? Scott, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Going back to your statement of the cars that we are disposing of, and you had mentioned you're putting it on Garage or garage.com, not sure which. That was for the engine for 75. It was my understanding previously way back when I was on the board, there are certain procedures we had to follow when we were disposing of engines and equipment purchased with taxpayer dollars. You could still put it on Garage, but there were other avenues we had to go through, including if we had MOUs with neighboring stations where we share equipment first before we just put it on a website for sale to the public. Just wanting to clarify, and I think I'd mentioned this once before, if you're aware of those, or is that something that needs to be further clarified, or do you know that that is not a requirement?
So the board has given me permission through their action back in, I believe, October, November to surplus those vehicles and get them out. If the vehicle had value to any agency in the state of California, including our own, we would have repaired it and done it. Unfortunately, the cost for us or any agency around us to replumb, rewire, retank, and redo the engine far exceeds anybody's ability in this great state to do that, especially when there are newer, older engines out there that meet the need without doing it. So no board member at any time has told me that anything I've done is wrong, but I would highly encourage you to speak with your board members regarding those concerns, and I'm sure they will share them with me. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. Comments.
I think that the vehicles, if they're to be sold, have to be placed on public notice that they're going to be sold. And then they can be posted anywhere. But I think there has to be a public comment that they're being sold.
I just want to confirm, by you taking the board action, surplusing the vehicles and telling me to sell them and that being posted in the minutes and or actionable items, that doesn't count?
Somebody just has to go and contact the newspaper and post the public notice. And I don't think that's been done yet.
Okay, we can make sure that it gets in the newspaper for public notice. Let's see. Yeah. All right, we will work on that. Thank you very much again. Congratulations to our new firefighters. Congratulations for the wonderful family stuff going on over there, Chief. And let's move on to 7.2, Trent. Current vehicle status.
Okay.
And we're still getting that thing filled out for you. So that will get to you. Yes.
That's kind of the extent of this. So kind of the extent of the issue item here. So,
yeah.
And I do appreciate the information that's provided from the chief for the vehicle status and activities or whatever. It's just that document wise, it's good to have that information so we can kind of maintain the record of which ones we own, what we've sold, et cetera. So I'm looking to still have that taken care of. I did provide that to
Yeah.
Linnea, so
We want
she
to make sure
forwarded.
that gets.
So we need to, can that be provided
updated
back
and
to
forwarded
us
to the
prior to
board.
the next meeting potentially? Is that doable?
I will work on that. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll
Okay.
make sure, because I know that Randy has to go through and help with some of that too. So I will facilitate that. And was there anything else?
That
was just a
that
discussion?
covers it.
Perfect. All right. 7.3 issue paper policy committee. Trent.
Okay. Okay. Current policy ad hoc committee continues to have policy updates and additions added to their agenda. Since an ad hoc committee should address a defined scope for a short duration, it is appropriate to have the current ad hoc committee converted to a standing committee in accordance with the following requirements. Standing Policy Committee shall have continued subject matter jurisdiction over policy development and changes. The committee's role shall be advisory only. It shall draft and refine policy language for presentation to the full board at a regular board meeting. The committee is not authorized to make decisions, adopt policy, or take independent action. The committee shall consist of 2 board members and 2 to 3 members of the public. Members shall be required to have acknowledged all current MFPD policies and be required to complete harassment prevention for employees, California SB 1343/AB 81825 training. The district's standing policy committee shall follow government regulations and Brown Act compliance requirements for meeting notices, teleconferencing, and public participation. So the recommendation, which would be my motion, is to convert the current ad hoc committee to a standing committee as defined previously in this information.
To discuss.
That's what I was saying. My motion is basically that, to convert the current ad hoc committee to a standing committee as defined in what I read above.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
The discussion. Anybody on the board? Questions, concerns, comments?
Awesome.
So this is going to be a standing committee, which means it's permanent, correct? So what's the purpose of having a permanent policy committee? If like once we get everything situated with the policy, what's the point of having them permanent? And also, what's the point of having the policy bringing it to the board directly? If we could get that explained.
Well, the main reason for having it go on an ongoing basis, as was identified in the last meeting, is we do routinely get from Lexipol updates, changes, things regulation-wise that get changed, et cetera. We also have in policy a requirement for every 2 years to review our policies, assure that they're current, up-to-date, correct. And then if potentially any other items come up in the year annually for any suggested new changes or suggested new policies to be added, that committee then is in place to take care of that. So there is routine, normal activity going on, and therefore the standing committee does provide that with an ongoing basis versus trying to do it with an ad hoc short-term activity. I think that's part of the question. Second, yeah, go ahead, Linnea, if you.
Oh, I was just the way I've seen that outside of Mosquito, that it is, the flow of information, like I've said, is usually staff will create the proposed, draft document, and then it'll go to the board for either ad hoc or the board for determining if there are changes needed, and then voting on it. But
Committee. You said board, you mean committee?
No, so like Garden Valley, right? They have their, like Ed was explaining, they have ad hoc for when things are like we're doing right now. So this would be ad hoc. We have to go through this stuff, get it done. But then as far as standing goes, once the ad hoc has done that work, really it should be pretty quick, especially if it's little changes coming in from Lexipol. It should go, staff who have the subject matter expertise, and then it can come to the board. So we can always create ad hoc again if there is a purpose, a specific purpose. But at the moment I see, I see we don't necessarily need a standing policy committee.
Okay. Yeah, I think the unfortunate thing is in our policy document, it does suggest that the board is responsible for the activity of that. So that being the case, it's difficult. Like Bill may be able to chime in on that as well, since he's participated routinely in this, but it is difficult to try to conduct any of that type of activity in a board meeting. And you're not allowed to do it otherwise, unless you do something like we're talking about here with a standing committee. So having the standing committee gives us the opportunity to be offline in a sense, not doing it during a regular board meeting activity, to try to create the correct information, assure that it's in the right format, the things that our policy on policy creation does suggest is our responsibility. So I think this does provide that opportunity to do that in a more efficient manner, and not having the board tied up in a board meeting to do that. So
I see currently we're already, we've got minutes galore, we've got meetings, we've got all this stuff going on. With the ad hoc to be able to go in depth on the things that we are absolutely needing right now, I see major value. However, like I said, standing, if we're just going through things here and there, it shouldn't be, in my book, a big thing to bring it to the board. And we can then obviously ad hoc things if there is a greater scope of the project.
Okay, currently there is approximately 20 to 30 policies that are out of the old policy manual need to get brought forward. There's approximately 10 to 15 policies that are already outdated that need to be reviewed and get them, because we require that things be reviewed to keep everything current.
Mm-hmm.
There's another 15 or so policies, I think, that have gotten updates in Lexipol that need to be gone through. So unless we want to create an ad hoc committee to deal with those 45 policies, and more will keep coming up. So every other meeting or so, we'll have to add another 10, add another 10. At some point, we just got to say, we need to have a policy committee that's going to run until we can get all this backlog caught up at a minimum. And then we can always get rid of the policy committee if we don't need it. But the reality is that it needs to happen. As you can see today, we have limited staff. We have one on Zoom and one sitting here taking notes. We don't really have 8 or 9 staff members that can run around and do all these reviews. As a general rule, Trent and I have to spend a couple hours at a time, probably meeting twice a month. Mm-hmm. So unless you want to add 4 hours to the next board meeting and continue to do so for some time, I would suggest having a policy committee that can deal with it without having the whole board here. In comment.
Sounds like we have comment online. Who is it? What? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I wasn't sure I answered your second question, Maria. Did I? Okay.
And what is the benefit, kind of what we're discussing right now, what is the benefit of bringing it to the board versus having an ad hoc or standing committee regardless? What's the benefit of committee versus board?
Yeah. Okay. Hopefully what we just talked about was good. Okay.
Online, hand up. Was that? All right, Johnny, go ahead.
Hi. I think it would be important for the board to evaluate your workflow on policy development. It seems like you're anticipating spending an inordinate amount of time on policy development. So I would suggest finding ways to be more streamlined and efficient in reading materials and understanding what you're trying to do, instead of, I've historically seen you waste a lot of time on very simple things and coming to the meetings very unprepared, reading things in front of the public that aren't ready and are just not ready for consideration across the board. So I think there's a lot of improvements that could be made in your workflows, and kind of bringing those up to speed so that way you can better serve the public. Thank you.
Very much. Do I have any other? Oh, Bravo has his hand up. Go ahead, Bravo.
And to tag and extend on what Johnny said, maybe it's also time that other board members take a look at some of these things to kind of understand them instead of converting the current membership of the ad hoc committee. Is there anybody else on the board that's willing to sit on this standing committee and work with us on this as a fresh set of eyes?
All right.
Okay, let me respond to the two things. Agreed, we need to have more efficiency. Exactly the reason for creating this standing committee meeting is to have that more efficient activity so the board's not totally tied up with it. As we mentioned, my motion is to convert this existing ad hoc committee. Personnel can change at a later date, but I think for the flow of this activity that's already in place with the two items that we already have on the list, along with the items that Bill has mentioned of things that have already been looked at or considered, it's good for us to continue with this current arrangement and later make a change if we need to do that. But my motion is to basically just utilize the current ad hoc committee membership. Any public additions, since we don't have a total of 3 persons from the public for that, we could add those public individuals.
So we have a motion on the table. We've had discussion. It looks like we have 2 more comments. Go ahead, concerned citizen.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I hear you.
You're good.
I don't mean to, I guess, say this in sort of a rude way, but I've been listening to the LAFCO meetings, and it appears that you guys may be going towards a consolidation or reorganization or annexation or some sort of changes happening is going to be happening with this district at some point in time. Honestly, I think policy writing is very important, but to do an in-depth, time-consuming, another standing committee or ad hoc committee that's going to waste more time going in depth into these policies, to me, it is a waste of time. I just don't see the value in it. I agree with what Linnea was saying, and I think that's the chairwoman's name. I don't think your main focus should be on in-depth review of policy. Thank you.
Right, and we had a hand. Bravo, did you still have your hand up or?
Yeah, concerned citizen brings up good points, but I will say this, sitting in my seat, it is good to review our policies in terms of making sure that they are up to date and other such things. My only comment to Director Williams is if we're going to be bringing citizens in from the outside, I must state again, it's counterintuitive to the argument of let's keep it the same but bring more people on. To sit in those advisory roles or on this committee, it might be a good time just to mix it up. Let's get new eyes on this. You have new command staff that have been in place since, September. We all view things a little bit differently. This isn't my first rodeo sitting with boards and or dealing with policy. Definitely my first rodeo as a fire chief. But a fresh set of eyes, if we're going to do this, is probably the best way to go about it, and then bringing it back to you guys for consideration.
Thank you very much. Do I have any more comments? Otherwise, we'll go to a vote. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, question. Now, if you make this a standing committee, that becomes an open meeting. Doesn't that in itself allow for fresh eyes? Because then everyone can attend, and that seems to be what you're looking for. You still have consistent people, but you can add new people from the board. You could have the whole board attend. You could have command staff attend. And again, at any point, then you can discontinue. But just from sitting here, doing this in every single meeting, please make a decision. And if this would streamline the meetings, it would be so much better. Thank you.
Very much. Any other? All right, we're going to go to a vote. I guess all in favor to convert the current ad hoc committee to a standing committee as defined above in the issue paper, say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Nay. Any abstain?
Abstain on that and make a new motion. Let's just, I'd make a separate motion to make the current ad hoc committee be a policy committee, except without, and we'll have public comment from the audience. We don't need public members necessarily voting. Just because if we're going to make it a public meeting, public's going to be able to make all the comments they want anyway. We're not actually making policy decisions. All we're doing is rewriting the policy so we can bring it back to the board for a vote anyway. So just convert the current ad hoc committee into to a continuing, so we can deal with these 50 some policies we need to take care of, and then the board can decide what it wants to do after that. That's my motion. Sorry. Convert ad hoc policy committee to public policy committee. No additional people, just the 2 members that are already here. If one of us wants to step down, we can, and the board can appoint another. That's my motion.
It was so Trent's was voted on. We had a single nay, single yay, 2 nays, and an abstain. We now have a new motion on the table that we maintain, or that we convert the current ad hoc committee to an open public meeting to go over the current standing policy or current backlog of policies.
No public participation.
With
no public committee.
With no public committee members, but public able to attend and participate. All right.
No, it'll still be open to the public, but no committee members will be from the public.
All right. So let's go ahead and take a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oh, sorry. Hang on. Maria would like to discuss, and I didn't get a second. Do I have a second for Bill's motion?
Second.
All right, Maria.
So can we just clarify what the difference is between it being an ad hoc to turning into a public committee? So you're saying that it's open to the public. So ad hoc was currently not open to public? Okay, so it is now going to be open to public, but not have a public member. That's the clarification, correct?
Correct.
And it's still like, I want to impress that the flow of information, the way it works very, very effectively outside of here doesn't involve this. So that's just my thought I wanted to reiterate. And do we have any other comments? We have a hand up from Johnny. Johnny, go ahead.
I would just continue to impress upon this board to maybe get feedback from people to streamline and optimize your workflows. So the same people continue to do things the same way consistently. It would be nice for them to be open to understanding new ways of doing things and not just talking in circles, especially if you have 40 plus policies to review. End of comment.
It looks like we also have another hand up. Is that Bravo? Go ahead.
This will be my last comment, I promise, Mr. Williams. Okay, so my understanding of the board's role with policy is you are to assure that adequate policy is in place. And in any other jurisdiction that I've ever worked, and God knows I'm on my 32nd year of public service, I can say that if the board had an issue at every department I work with, they went to their chief and said, hey, what's going on with this? And then the fire chief with his staff would draft the policy, and then they would bring it to the committee and say, this is where we're at. The committee would look at it, and then it would go to the board. I think you're still doing redundant work that probably should be done with me and my staff or whoever's sitting in my seat a month from now or a year from now. It is our job to make sure that when you find policy inadequacies that we collaborative about it. As for policy review and what's currently in policy, I do understand the concern, but Mr. Valenzuela has a point, as did concerned citizens. So again, we have a job, but it seems like it feels like the board's trying to do more of our job than what you hired us for. And a comment.
We have a public comment here. I'm going to take this from Karen Paul, and then we're going to go ahead and move on to a vote. We do have other work we have to accomplish. So thank you.
What I'm hearing and what I've experienced prior to this is that our command staff has not had appropriate staffing to be able to take care of all these policies. So my question, honestly, to Scott Bravo is, do you have the staffing to be able to address all of these policies in the timely manner that they need to be? That's all. Thank you.
It's a fair question, Karen. I think that the short answer is, do we have adequate personnel? No, we don't. I've described my job in my district as an onion. Every time I peel back a layer, I continue to cry. At some point, I'll cook this onion and I'll stop crying. But there is a lot of things that have gone on prior to my being here that we're trying to catch up on, just on the operational side and the financial side of things. Again, I see the value in this. I just also need our board to understand that what is the most important thing moving forward. And I feel like we get off into the weeds on a lot of things and we don't really accomplish anything. I mean, case in point, we were dealing with minutes back in December of last year at today's meeting. That's not a an admin thing. That is a board thing, and I think it's because there's just so many hands and so many things. So to answer your question shortly, no, we don't have the personnel, but I can tell you we don't have the finances for said personnel, and there's just a lot to be done. Good question. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. We will go ahead and go on to a vote on Bill's motion. Those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Nay. And no abstain. So 2-2, we let it ride. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. 2-2, it is not moving forward at the moment. So Maria. No,
Well, do the people who have been voting no have a way to handle these 40 policies that are hanging out there and been hanging out there for over 6 months?
I feel like we should bring them to the board.
yeah. So we've got, this has been done. We have made our motion. It's done. We're going to go ahead and move on. The next item is 7.4. We do have, like I said, guests in our audience. So 7.4 is the issue paper on divide augmentation staffing. So as we've been talking about, there have been meetings with myself and Bill and Garden Valley and the county and LAFCO. And what I've seen across the board is just, how can we support? What can we do to work together and support and find ways to get things done that we need to get done, get the support we need to get. And with that, between the LAFCO meetings, the 2x2s, and work being done by the agencies, we have and it says very, very clearly, it's in red, conceptual. This is not even a draft. This is just something as a jumping off, like, hey, so this was created as a jumping off point for a shared services agreement, like we had been talking about with Garden Valley. And I have Miss Sue Phillips here to discuss it with us, if you don't mind. Yeah, this could go. Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Please.
Do we get to comment first or straight to them?
They're going to tell us what all of this is, and then we can go ahead and discuss. Yeah. Lori Parlin, El Dorado County Supervisor for District 4. I just wanted to go back to early last year when Chief Dwyer contacted me and said, Lori, we have got to do something. Mosquito is not sustainable. And I said, I'm aware of that. And he said, well, he's got his contract until August of 2026. And I said, well, that's awesome because I'm in office until December of 2026. And between the two of us, we have nothing to lose because often things don't happen politically. because people are worried about their jobs. But he and I are not going to be here much longer, and we decided that we were going to stick our necks far out for this district, and not just this district, for all the districts on the divide. You guys are so important to the county to make sure your service is sustainable. And you're a piece of the whole county puzzle. And it would crush me inside if we did not explore every opportunity available to us. And I think that there's this conceptual idea. I hope you guys embrace it. It is something different, and so it's a little scary. Change is scary, but I think it's your best bet at keeping what you want out of your fire service, keeping your identity. I know that's important to all the little fire districts up here. So please listen with an open mind and an open heart, because I know how important all of this is to all of you. So I just wanted to throw that out there that, again, Chief Dwyer called me up early last year and really begged me to do something. And I feel that the county is really stepping up in a way that it never has before. So there's your intro.
Yes, I will jump in. Thank you very much, Lori. So yes, the county with this document, they're coming to us with a lot of really wonderful opportunity. And at the same time, again, like I said, it's in red, it's a conceptual document. I need people to understand this is not like nothing is, it's not even a draft document. We're just starting, and there's everything that can be done. So Miss Sue.
Okay, so everyone just said, we've been working on this for a little while, trying to get really creative, trying to figure out how we can make things a little bit better for you all. Because the goal, as we've talked about, is not just trying to figure out how to balance this budget or the next budget. It is, how can we improve services, make them sustainable, make them stable for you and the whole divide. And so there are a number of topics that we've discussed. And one of the big ones is the benefit that the community and the staff gain from more collaboration. So when you are a part of something bigger, you have more opportunities for training, more opportunities to, cycle through other stations. I think you've already started to see that with all your collaborative training. So a step in that direction is to try out potentially a shared services agreement. A shared services agreement, all the districts involved remain intact. Their structure does not change. Their command structure does not change. Their boards do not change. So you stay intact. What you're simply doing is voluntarily choosing to cooperate and work with another district for certain services. And those services can be whatever you choose for them to be. Obviously, as we've discussed and as we've seen with Georgetown and Garden Valley, one opportunity arises when you have a chief that is retiring. You can combine administrative support with other districts, because you don't necessarily need, the way we kind of operate here is we have a chief for every fire station. And if you look at much larger districts, they don't operate that way, right? They have a chief, and then they've got, some command staff, and you have battalions, and you have, shifts and that kind of thing. So if we can operate more in that way, that potentially frees up resources for your boots on the ground people, because you're not spending your money on the administrative piece. All that said, we still understand among all of the three districts we're talking about, your resources are constrained. And Chief Norman is starting to get stretched a little bit thin with running two districts. And so that was what we were hearing as some of the concerns coming from the board members that we were meeting with, and potentially members of the community, is how are we going to get enough of Chief Norman's attention to help us out and give us what we need. So in our last meeting, we discussed that. And one of the ways that we would like to offer to support you is to provide some funding to Garden Valley to hire additional staff to support the shared services agreements with both Georgetown and Mosquito. And so our Board of Supervisors did approve that on, well, when was this? Last week. Actually, just Tuesday. Yeah, it's only Thursday. Okay. So on Tuesday, they did approve, and I'll read you exactly what they approved. Authorize staff to enter into negotiations with Garden Valley Fire Protection District in support of a potential regional shared services model on the Georgetown Divide. So again, this would support all 3 districts, this additional staffing, $200,000 a year for 2 years. So you can look at it like a pilot project, something, a trial period to see if this works out for you all. Hopefully in that period of time, we're able to demonstrate that things have gotten better for you, not worse. There has been no degradation of service, that, things have improved. One of the ways that we intend to do that is, I know we've discussed a couple of times, kind of doing this baseline study to look at what the level of service you have is now, what you're hoping to achieve, and, measure that along the way. We have hit a little snag with that. We've got a great initial outline that we were hoping to get maybe buy-in from the 2x2, or I don't know how you want to structure that, but we probably won't have staff on to do that until early June. But then we will start working on that analysis full force. And so that the hope is, like I said, we kind of take a measurement in the beginning, and we monitor how we're doing as we go along. And then hopefully at the end of this period, or as we're going through this period, we're seeing improvements, and we're seeing that this model is helping and it's benefiting the community. So originally, when we had this discussion about this proposal, the thought was that Chief Norman would put together some concept points. And I know several of you have said it. I don't think it can be said too many times, though. That conceptual document, it is not contract language. That's not what it's meant to be. These are really just deal points and kind of Chief Norman's initial ideas about the kinds of services that could be provided. All of those details would have to be worked out between the 2 districts. And again, it's a contract. So it's a 2-way agreement. And so don't enter into it if you're not getting out of it what you think you should get. So you absolutely are in the driver's seat on that. I think that if you're open to it, as Lori said, there's a lot of benefit to be had working through this agreement. And I think, there are a couple of examples that I can point to where we've had successes with shared services. I think the Georgetown and Garden Valley shared services agreement is going really, really well right now. So that's a great place to look. Go talk to people over in Georgetown, see how they feel about it. Talk to people in Garden Valley. Do your research. Anybody who's interested in learning more about another annexation that we did, which is not quite like what we're talking about here, but you did have a district where you had 1 station, and they entered into a shared services agreement with a larger district, and the opportunities that they saw for their staffing to be able to rotate through busier stations and not just always be at that 1 station were huge. And so there were lots and lots of benefits that they derived from that. They eventually did end up annexing. We're not saying that this has to lead to that, but I think this is a good first step to see if some kind of more permanent arrangement would be interesting to you all. So again, the details would be worked out between the 2 boards. I believe you have 2x2s. I think the original plan was, we thought that the 2x2 might be able to meet and discuss some of those concept points before it came to your board. It sounds like scheduling was difficult and that didn't really happen. So I think we all didn't really intend for this conceptual document to just be, presented to your board like this. So again, there's no pressure on that. They are just ideas, but it would be great if your board were to authorize your 2x2 to move forward and explore negotiating the shared services agreement in that 2x2 situation as we move forward with Garden Valley on this agreement. And happy to answer any questions anybody has. Well, it would be Garden Valley, Georgetown, and Mosquito. Yeah. Yes.
So I hate to be Debbie Downer. I love all the benefits, but I just want to look at what would be the disadvantages. A couple that come to mind for questions would be what happens to our current staff. So if we join, as you know, we still have a chief until August. We have a current acting chief. We have an administrative assistant. So how do all those pieces move with joining together?
Yeah. So again, you stay Mosquito. Your district is not changing. It's not going away. It is staying exactly as it is. So those employees are all still employees of Mosquito.
Okay.
If you do enter into the shared services agreement with Garden Valley, it is generally understood though now that you would have your chief would be Chief Norman, right? So future hiring decisions, things like that would be up to the chief and the board, however that delegation works. I don't quite know how you guys do your hiring and handle all that, but yeah. So your board structure would remain in place, and your relationship with your chief would be however you work it out in that agreement.
From what I've heard, on the Georgetown side, so they set up originally, I think it was a 12-month, and I believe they're going to an extension, right?
Right now it's 12 months. I have heard Garden Valley board members say they'll probably go longer.
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay. Yeah. So I really implore people to talk to Georgetown about what their experience has been in this, because if we look at the steeped in tradition, really hill-based, the people who are so solid in the divide, you're looking at a district that's been around since prior to 1900, and you have a district that's been around since early, I don't remember when Garden Valley was formed, but they've been around a long time, and there's always going to be these, I wouldn't say rivalries, but there's always going to be the things going on. But if they can really work together and they're happy with what's going on and the benefits that they're seeing, I just implore people to kind of check with what their experience has been. So, yeah. And I think it's massive. Not to say that this is, but it's massive that the county is willing to come to the table with so much. So thank you guys very much for sticking your necks out on that.
It was.
Oh yeah, way out.
Yeah, the hand online for Bravo
by the board, and they were all very supportive and spoke, really positively about it. So,
comment. Okay, first of all, bringing this without letting us put it out to the public kind of violates the Brown Act thing. And here we send everything out to the public so they see everything. This conceptual notice was never sent to the public as part of the packet. So I think that nothing can be done on the matter today because it wasn't properly noticed. Secondly, this speaks of us spending approximately $78,000 for a chief or a person that will be in the district a third of the time, because it's split between 3 districts. Currently, we pay $82,000 for a chief who's in the district all the time, unless he happens to be at a meeting. So instead of having 30 hours approximately boots on the ground up here, ready to fight fires, go on medical calls, we're now going to have, 15 hours maybe? And then we don't even know if that person has the ability to fight fire, to do medical calls, because there's no information about what that person is. And the difference between 78,000 and 82,000 is so minuscule. You keep speaking about Georgetown and this great deal they got. Georgetown traded a $250,000 position for chief for an $80,000 position. That's a big savings. We're not looking at any kind of huge savings like that. And we need boots on the ground up here. That's what we need. I mean, we sometimes have 2-0 staffing, sometimes 1-0 staffing. So we need the chief to be able to, at need, go on medical calls, help run the fire. It's really hard to fight a fire with one person. And I don't see this as addressing that at all. So to me, there's issues with this. So far, the 2x2 committee has not come to the board and asked the board what the board thinks should be talked about. I'm just going to throw my comment I've been sitting on since this whole thing started. I talked to Bravo about it back then. And he said he really couldn't talk with me in the matter because I wasn't on the 2x2 committee. But I mean, to me, our standard procurement policy says 3 bids. Let's get Garden Valley, let's get El Dorado County, and maybe a third person to come in here and bid and say, how much would you charge to run the fire district up here? That's like 2.0, 4.0 staffing, 2.0 if you have volunteers, 4.0 if you don't. I mean, that's what we pretty much need up here to run things, or they can come in with a bid saying they would run it as is. But I mean, to me, the process should be for a bid so we can look at it and say, okay, it's going to be $1.5 million. It's going to be 2.5 million. And then go to the county and say, our budget's 400,000. Are you going to pick up the other 1.1 to $2.1 million a year, every year for the next 20 years? And I think the answer to that would be no.
Hey,
But
so-
I mean, right now you've got a situation where you're trying to sell the public that everything's going to be, you know, roses and everything's going to be nice up here and everything just like El Dorado Hills. And it's not for a $400,000.
So, Bill, I don't think anybody like really truly the energy and the what people have put into this is not to go, hey, gotcha. It's not to do anything other than make sure that we have services when people call and it's we secure the divide. So I do know that we have a hand up from Bravo, but we also, I believe, have Chief Norman on Zoom because some of the things that you were saying are just we would need to hear from him how that kind of thing would be dealt with. So I don't know if you, sorry, go ahead, Sue.
I just do want to know, I don't know how, we did not provide that document. So I just want to say, I don't know how the document came to you. I understand it hasn't been made public. We did expect that it would go through the 2x2 before it hit you. But I want to say again, don't draw any conclusions from it because we say that the support, that the position added to Garden Valley is going to support all 3 districts doesn't mean it's going to be divided in 3. We've had many discussions and we had the discussion with you at the last meeting about your concern about having somebody here, you know, to have boots on the ground. Chief Norman was on that call. We all understand that. And again, we're talking about an augmentation to the services, not doing anything that would take you backwards. So all of those things are things that would be worked out if your board were to authorize the exploration of the agreement. That scope and the terms would all be worked out.
Hand online for Bravo.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank the supervisor and the CAO for spearheading this, raising the flag, and carrying it forward. I've made it clear my position with our district to every board member that's asked me, and including any community member that's asked me, your district is dying. At no point in any time in CEO Phillips' presentation was this is what we're doing. She's giving you a conceptual document to potentially save that firehouse where it sits. I absolutely can get behind going to CAL FIRE, El Dorado County Rescue, and whoever else you like for a contract to see how much it would cost you to have a 4.0 engine there. And they're all going to take your money and not. CAL FIRE will offer it to you for 2.1. That's their going rate minus admin fees. What was presented before you was a gift by the county to figure out to see if this could work. And if it could work, how is it going to work? And furthermore, you're in the driver's seat. So we should not be swatting away the hand of help for a district that's been screaming for help long before I got there. So I want to apologize to our representatives there on behalf of my staff. But more than anything, we need to be working toward a solution because right now we're dying. And at no point in her presentation was it 1/3 in Mosquito. At no point was it taking anything away from Mosquito. But efficiencies can be found. Efficiencies can be found within our current budget structure, as well as what they're offering us for 24 months to see if this will work and then figure out the long-term funding beyond that. But if that means we don't have an administrative assistant because we can handle all of our admin fees and administrative duties out of one central location, that's money back in our pot for suppression. We don't have the funding, the ability, or the need, or the means, to put people on this fire station. We're not a PERS agency. We don't offer any benefits. We offer an hourly wage. We will not support our district on OES funding alone. If we're building our budget around OES, we're destined to fail because currently we don't even have personnel that we can send out. We can't rely on grants because grants are going to go away in the FEMA cycle. So I implore the board to work with the 2x2 committee with the county to see what this agreement could look like, and then have your public comment. And if you don't go for it, so be it. But understand, this is our last ditch. Whether the county says it or not, this is our last chance to do it on our own before we're told how it's going to be. And that station will be there, but it will be the community hall that you all wish it to be, and it will no longer be a fire station. End of comment.
Okay. Thank you, Chief Bravo. I know we do have Chief Norman on Zoom. Would you be able to kind of give us some of that clarification you gave during the LAFCO meeting, Wes?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. And this is Chief Wes Norman of Garden Valley. He born and raised in the area, and here you are.
Yeah, well, thank you. I first and foremost, I appreciate everyone's passion on the topic. It's definitely something that I can relate. I have worked for my fire district for 23 years. I've worked alongside Georgetown and Mosquito for that long as well. I've never worked anywhere but the Divide. So I'm passionate. I'm passionate about saving the fire service that we used to know and bringing it back to its glory days. The document and the conversations that have been had over the last few months have been quite productive, actually. I would argue that it's some of the most productive conversations that the districts have had in quite some time. And the fact that the county's willing to come and offer what they have is kind of unheard of, to be honest with you. I think it is a testament to their commitment to our services to our constituents. And so I think I just echo some of the stuff that's been said. This is a conceptual document. Nothing in the document is something we're going to hold you to. It's just something to jump off of. I took bits and pieces of the contract with Georgetown, took bits and pieces of other contracts that have worked around our county and our region, and threw them on a piece of paper for us to kind of just, chew on a little bit and have continued dialogue and conversation. And the Mosquito Fire Protection Board does remain in full control of their fire district. They still remain in full control of the fire chief and the services that are provided. So I think Director Linnea said it well. Call Georgetown and ask them what they've experienced. Call Garden Valley and ask the other side of the coin and what we've experienced. I'm happy to answer any questions. I think for me to just continue to list off the benefits to this shared service would just be kind of getting the cart in front of the horse a little bit, but happy to answer any questions of the board or anybody for that matter, if it can be helpful.
Thank you very much, Chief Norman. I also wanted to state that this kind of is something that we had been asking for from EDRFA when that was happening. We had been asking for a price, what would it cost to get these services? And so I see a massive benefit that we do have Chief Norman leading the charge. I respect him very, very, respect him highly. And I implore you all to reach out and just, like he said, but this is kind of what we were looking for when we were asking for the EDRFA quote or price list, and even more so, county's willing to throw in $200,000 a year to help us do this. So yeah, does anybody have any other Yep, we got questions galore. Okay, please
Hand online first.
Okay,
And then...
okay, so we'll go online real quick, and then if you guys please use the mic. But yeah,
Johnny online.
Hi. So for those that have served in the fire service on the Divide, this arrangement makes perfect sense. The relationships that we have are fluid across district boundaries already, so it's only in the construct of certain factions in the Mosquito community that these departments should be segregated. And I find it extremely disingenuous that Director Bunerkamp claims that there's been no transparent communications to the public in violation of the Brown Act, This community has no idea what's happening and continues to be in the dark because of the lack of transparency from the district's legacy leadership extending for at least a decade or more. And I applaud the recent attempts to communicate to the public on the department's challenges, but there's a steep hill to climb. And this really is a huge opportunity. The community does not understand how dire the situation is, and the non-monetary cost benefit to this proposed arrangement would be incalculable. So, I mean, to have a functional department in this community is a priority. Maintaining a culture that is only managing its decline it's just not an option. End of comment.
Very much. We will go to people. Go ahead, Kim. And then we had Karen and Meredith, or sorry, Taffy and Meredith. Okay.
Okay. I would just like to say, I mean, I've been up here for 35 years. We've had a number of discussions of things, of, consolidation, coordination. There has been shared services in the past that have been beneficial. This is totally different than what has been proposed in the past, which didn't work and fell apart for a variety of reasons. This is totally different and absolutely can work, again, because it's not taking financially, it's giving. And sharing absolutely works. I would disagree that there's been a lack of communication in the past. There has. It's been very clear there's been problems. Bottom line is most people don't care. And I'm really happy to hear this because it had, I think, a biggest problem lately is no one knows what's going on, including the board. It's just been in kind of limbo of who's in charge, who's coming back. So it's been very bizarre. You can't communicate when you know someone who's going to be in charge for how long, for when you don't know. I think this has a lot of great potential because it is so different from what the numerous things that have been proposed in the past. And again, I think the board just needs to, make it work for this department. The idea that we don't have a chief here full time, you don't need that if you have a qualified chief running everything. And my assumption is that would be assigning someone here full time, a qualified battalion chief, someone that is qualified to run. So anyway, thank you.
With what you're saying also is that, like what I've noticed is that generally your chief isn't going to be the one going out on calls. Your chief is going to be the one here in the station or, doing those things. And it's going to be his staff that is running the calls. So as long as we can provide for that staffing and that consistency, then I agree with you.
That has changed over the time. It used to be that way, but that is changing because of all the admin needs now and all the changes in fire service. It's no longer the same as it used to be. We can't have the good old days of Leo. It's not a reality anymore.
I would like to comment on that.
Yeah.
There at number 2, it says you're charging $6,500 a month. That comes out to $78,000. That's no cost.
That's not a contract though.
That
like
is,
she said, it's all conceptual. It's all, you can't, if it's conceptual, it's a baseline. You take those, you look at them, you form. It's got, you need to take that and then form something that works for this department with it. But anyway.
So I think that it's all in the numbers, and I think a real in-depth look at all the costs and where the money's going to go will make the decision probably a slam dunk. It would seem to me with the county willing to do this, and it'd be really great because I think the problems that have been in the district could be solved with the proper leadership. And then, there could be, as a person who's dedicated quite a bit of time to raising money for this department, as well as many, many hours recouping money from FEMA, I've got a lot in the game here. And I see that, there's so many ways things could improve. And so again, I go back to the leadership and the funding, the money. And, Bill, I'd be happy to sit down with you and crunch the numbers. I'm sure there's other people in the community that'd be happy to do that as well.
You want to?
Karen Paul.
So, I guess the way I am looking at this is I think this gives us an opportunity to really look into what we can do with the help of some other stations and make sure that it fits within whatever kind of budgetary outline that we come up with. And I think, to me, what I always seem to see within this district is that we enter into things and we don't have them fully specified. We wind up with an agreement that only gives us part of what we need instead of everything we need. And to me, that's going to be the real kind of watermark of if this will work or not, is if we can actually get an agreement that makes sure it covers everything. So that's my 2 cents.
Separately.
So
Basically, with the bridge going in, was there any consideration? Yeah.
Okay.
I think. And watch. Get on record. Yeah. That was my only thing with the bridge.
Other districts aren't gonna wanna do this.
Yeah. I think it's a common question, honestly, because I think a lot of people think, oh, the bridge is going to, it's going to cut off all this time. It's less windy. It's going to be great. The challenge that you have is that here on the divide, you still really embrace volunteers. And you need to. It's a survival mechanism, right? That's with your constrained budgets, you really have to rely on volunteers, support groups, all of that. And so this is really the only place, well, besides Pioneer, maybe a little bit in rescue, the other larger districts do not do volunteers anymore. So that would be one big constraint with looking at a county fire, for example. When you look at a large district like that and they look at another district, potentially, in any kind of relationship, they're going to want to bring you all up to their standards. And that's going to be very, very costly. So, yeah.
Yeah. Right. And I'm glad to, yes, thank you for getting that out. Having it afterward is wonderful, but at the same time, we want this stuff out there. And that's, I'm sure if you have the question, then 100 other people, 20 other people have it. So thank you.
So I have a comment.
Yes.
So as a member of the 2x2, I know that we just received this information, so we didn't have a really chance to do anything with it. And I think, I'm not sure what the expectation is, but I think we already have with the 2x2, the board's authorization to continue to look at our activities here. So I don't think there's any reason to suggest we need to do any action wise. I think that has been already done, and we do have that. I think we do have that responsibility to continue on.
I think the big thing here today was if we have this document, we just got this, but we don't need to sit here and hoard it. Let's talk about these things. Let's get them in the open. Let's really just, I appreciate all the input because these are what we can take to the 2x2 and really start to discuss. So thank you everyone for your time on that. Do I have any last, I do have a comment from Concerned Citizen, it looks like. Go ahead, Concerned Citizen.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay. I did want to say, since you guys did just get that document, if you could please post that as post-meeting materials so the public can look at that too. Also, I'm in agreement with Chief Bravo. He said that this is a last-ditch effort. And I think it would be in your best interest to go ahead and work with this SSA and to work with the other districts. You have an obligation to provide services to your residents, and that is the main priority, is their safety. I think that some of the board members need to put their egos to the side, and I think it would be wise to take this into serious consideration, because this district will cease to exist if you guys cannot work together for the benefit of the district. Thank you.
Very much. Doesn't look like we have any other hands online. I think we've gotten comment here. Things are out and open. Let's continue to talk about this. So moving on. And again, thank you very much, Sue Phillips, CAO, and our wonderful Lori Parlin, District 4 Supervisor, for taking your time. This is, coming and taking the time out of the day to be here and coming to every meeting and really supporting us has been awesome. So thank you guys. Next up would be 7.5, new policy or policy new 101 chief job description bill.
Okay. Issue paper is to eliminate the existing 101 and to insert the old 3-1-01 with modifications in as the new 101, and then get rid of the old 3-0101. Again, this is a matter of having two sets of policy manuals, and we need to pull them all together into one. This would state the job duties of the fire chief. And that's my motion.
All right. Do I have any Bravo, if you had a chance to look this over?
Oh, hang on, you need a second.
Oh, sorry.
I'll second it.
We have a second. I'm sorry. Thank you for helping me procedurally. I appreciate it. Sorry. Anybody else want to discuss? It looks like we've got just some minor changes to the job description. Any board comment? Hearing none. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Maria, please.
Can we get it in plain English? What's the difference between 101 and the old 30101?
Okay. Easiest description is page 23. That's the current 101. Page 25, 26, 27, 28. That's the old 3-01 with modifications. So we're going from half a page to 4 pages. We're getting rid of the page that doesn't really have a job description on it. We're digging back into the old manual, actually had a job description for the job of the chief, and we're bringing it forward. So only one policy.
It looks like just some minor things here, pulling out bachelor's degree. A lot of fire professionals don't go that route, but still have massive certifications. It looks like some of the other requirements were pulled, but the rest looks like just changing, certain words, regular to posted, and deputy chief to battalion. Yeah. So it looks like this is taking into consideration what was expressed through the meetings prior, and no hands. So let's go ahead and do we have any other discussion? Oh, yes. Please.
Considering what was just presented, I would say just table this. My other concern is it really didn't fall into, there was requirements put together by 2 hiring committees that this lowers the standard so significantly. I would just say, I would strongly suggest tabling it, especially since there's other issues that are going on, and it's really not pertinent at this point, I don't think.
A comment.
Both continue.
My comment to that would be having the job description in our policy. We already have one in there, so it's just a replacement. Now, granted, there was differences between what was in the job description and what's in the posting that was prepared. But The thing to keep in mind is this is just a job description of minimum requirements, and the posting could potentially be something different than that if that's appropriate for the posting at a given situation. So I think that has some, basis for not necessarily tabling this. I think it's important to have a good job description for the chief now because we have one, and so that job description should be there. I think so. I think again, if we think it could be changed after a posting, maybe for the future was presented, that would be maybe something to do at that point. I think.
The way I read this, I would be okay with approving the update, and then if needed, we could go back. But yeah, any other? Oh, sorry. Yeah.
A hand online as well.
Just wanted to say I appreciate the thoughts, but I agree with Director Williams. You do have a chief and you have an acting chief. So as long as that is the case, you should have a job description that your board feels comfortable with and supports. And, anything that is to come is to come. And hopefully it comes soon. But in the meantime, you should have a good job description.
Is it my turn or am I still quiet?
Bravo. Your turn.
Please.
Okay. See, Mr. Williams, we can agree on things. I do agree with Director Williams on this one as well. The only caveat to that is any of this conflict with your current contract job description with Chief Dwyer. And if that is the case, should you table this till August?
Comment. The current contract we have with the chief is what controls his requirements, which are different than what is here.
More to my point, that would be something then what I'm getting at, not to cut you off, Mr. Bunikemp, I apologize. If you already have a job description in place under the current contract that doesn't expire until August 1 of 26, who does this apply to? I guess is my question.
It probably apply to.
It would apply to our acting
chief.
And without going into infinite detail between each one of these items, I don't recall when participating in reviewing this that we have any real contradictions with what's requested or required by the contract versus what's in this job description that I can. Unless Bill, do you have any specifics that you know of?
Would you guys be willing to look at it and then bring it back? I'm not trying to create work for you guys. I just want to make sure that we're doing it right. That's all I'm saying.
Pretty much the existing contract is what it was before the changes were made. So it had the he instead of the they. It had the fact that you had to have a bachelor's degree prior, which now is not required. After they had in chief prior, you had National Fire Academy, you had to complete a certified chief officer, certificate of training officer, and fire marshals, again, is preferred. What was in there before with the changes is what I think
the only caveat to that, and I think BC Homsky brought it up when you guys were doing all this originally, was that if you still have certified fire officer in there, but you don't have bachelor degree, you can't have one without the other, if that makes sense. You can't be a certified chief officer in the state. You can have the classes, but you will not get certified by the state of California without a minimum of a degree. I believe it's an associate's. But that being said, you want to make sure that the job description doesn't contradict itself between certification and education. That's my only, again, not trying to create more work for you guys because I just had this long discussion about policy. I'm just saying I'm all for it. I just want to make sure that it's right.
they were both taken out at the same time.
Roger that.
Okay, so let's go ahead and take this to a vote. This is a vote on a motion to remove the superseding job description for chief and replace it with the new 101. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Any abstain? Hearing none, motion passed. Move on to 7.6, LAFCO out, Bill.
LAFCO out, this is my view of what was discussed at the LAFCO meeting. And Linnea said that there was a couple things in here she wanted to comment on or change. On the other hand, there was an additional one after this, which is the county's version of what happened, and I wrote a rebuttal to that. Do you handle these together or separately?
I guess since it's regarding the same meeting, we can probably do them at the same time. So we have Bill's LAFCO out. I was unable to be there in person, but I did attend via Zoom. I had trouble. Yeah, anyway. So I feel like some of the things written here just kind of, it's been a little different of an experience trying to do the LAFCO meeting with Director William or with Director Bienerkemp and then the 2x2 with Director Williams. So some of the stuff that was discussed ends up, I mean, it was all stuff that we had kind of talked about in open meeting anyway, but that it comes into this. And so I can understand where there would be misunderstanding in his out, but yeah. Did you want to read the out? What was your thought, Bill?
No, I think it stands on its own.
Okay.
The public's received copies.
Right. And so the other thing here is that, I mean, given what we've received from for the conceptual document, that also kind of explains what's going on here. So yeah, if anybody has any questions or, do we, yeah. So if we want to discuss these, do we need a motion to discuss if if we're just discussing, we're not making an action. Yes, my dear. Sorry. Yes, Mrs. Phillips.
I just wanted to note the staff person in attendance was not Jeanette Salmon. It was Allison Winter. Jeanette organizes the meeting, so I think that was the confusion.
Go, 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 go.
I'll tell you the same thing I told the rest of the board. If I'm not misspelling something in the document, I seriously doubt it came from me.
Go ahead, Johnny.
Hi, this was a document that, quite frankly, really pissed me off. There's no summary on it. There's no introduction to it. It's very difficult for anybody to just pick something up like this and understand what it is. I mean, from what I understand with Director Bienerkemp and what I've known of him, he's very meticulous and gets really into the weeds with stuff. So to understand that this document was provided by him, it's very contrary to what I know about him, and it's just not. It doesn't relay any information to the public. So it would be helpful if the board created a document cover and updated it with summaries so the general public can understand what they're reading. Reading his LAFCO out, it was distracting, and it just doesn't give a full review. It just read as something that he didn't want to participate in and just didn't care much about, and that's. I don't know if something's going on there, but the effort that he usually puts into stuff, it didn't seem present. So thank you.
I think that you have to understand that because it's two different committees and two different groups of people, there's things that are being discussed in front of me that I'm not supposed to be part of. And as such, it's things that really should not be discussed in my presence. It's stuff that should be discussed with Trent and Linnea, not with myself and Linnea. So that's one of the reasons why it seemed like I didn't want to be there, is because some of it I'm not supposed to be privy to. In comment.
Okay, so then I wanted to thank you for your comment, Johnny. I did want to, say that whenever Bill has attended these meetings, he has come with his energy and ready to do some work. So it may seem like he doesn't, but he is in this. And then I'm wondering if we should. I don't know that we can do it right this moment, but I'm wondering if we should keep the 2x2 and LAFCO meeting. So I'm wondering, would Trent then attend the LAFCO meetings, or how would you think to do that for continuity? Any thoughts? Hearing none. Keep it from being like this, keep it from being disjointed, and wondering what we can comment where and how and all that. So
I guess my question is, we did ask this of council with regard to doing this, and they didn't have any concern because it's being done in a public, in some, I guess we are having conversations in a public meeting. So I don't recall exactly what his response was with regard to any concerns we had, but it was okayed. I don't know how Bill would consider the requirement for, I guess, not hearing what's being communicated. He's not. Right. I mean, given a standing committee, a board member can attend a standing committee meeting and listen during the meeting. So I don't know how that works with regard to what's happening in that meeting. So
okay, so it's not public.
Yeah, I know that. I'm just saying.
And second is discussing changing things at this time with it not being on the agenda does not conform with the way we do things. We'd have to have another meeting with another agenda in order to make any changes as to who's on what committee.
Yeah, I'm not making, and I know we can't make any changes right this moment, but I'm just
I'm asking,
positing the idea that in order to keep this stuff more,
I like the idea of having Bill's perspective, but
I do too.
So I guess that's.
But it has been difficult trying to do the.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Bill, are you actually making inputs during the LAFCO meeting, or are you just in there listening to what's being said?
Oh no, they understand my opinion.
No, I know.
But they understand my opinion.
Verbally or?
Oh, he's absolutely verbally and physically saying it.
Okay. So I guess, he is actually participating in the conversation. Okay.
Move that to, we can't do anything about that right now, but does anybody else have any comments about, sorry, yes, please, Meredith.
So after your 2 and 2s, could it be possible to have a public meeting so you can all get together and discuss what happened, like quickly, right after it happened, prior to the next meeting?
Struggling there with, again, having meetings all the time. It just, yeah. So it absolutely is. So let's see what happens in the way of a 2x2 before the next board meeting, how close we are to the next board meeting when it happens. If it's like next week, then yeah, we can absolutely, there could be absolute benefit to having a special meeting in that regards. But let's see how the month goes. And one way or another, we will have more information about this, and we will keep working toward the stuff with LAFCO and Garden Valley. So that takes care of 6-7 or 7-6, 7-7 committee reports. 8.1 finance budget study session.
Only comment on that was there was a public information request. The information was gathered. It's in an envelope in Char's office. When they send information on how to contact them, that information can then be forwarded per what the attorney told us. In comment.
Right, so 8.2, software access ad hoc. This has been awarded to Chief Bravo, and this was in regards to committee that, when did that go? I don't know. Trent, you want to?
Yeah, I think it's in the minutes that we were looking at today. So it was within the December, February, or March. I think it's February's potentially creation, or maybe it was December's. I don't recall, but it's within one of the minutes of those meetings. So it was a created ad hoc committee. So it's been added to the committee report list. Maybe the report is we have not had any action relative to that. But I leave that to the lead person was identified as being Chief Bravo. So.
No meeting, no report.
Thank you. 9.3, policy ad hoc.
Okay.
Trent.
Well, I was hoping that maybe I could report that we would be turning over the information to the standing committee, but since we're not, I will report on what's happened. I mean, we have been waiting to some degree on, getting the information we needed to determine what participation was appropriate and that type of thing. I guess we do need to take in consideration we're still in place now. We still have participation on the committee. We did do the preparation for the job description policy that was presented. Now, with that being the case, and please, no negativity from this request, but here's our status. On March 4th, I did forward to the staff a request for a change in the tracking document for our policies. 2 items policy-wise had been completed, but they needed to be updated in the table of contents. Those have not taken place. We've also approved 1048 compensation change. That policy was in a meeting in the last meeting, I believe, or maybe it was February's meeting. That policy has not been issued. 1054 clerk admin was done in the last meeting, so there's been a month's time passed for that to get issued. It needs to be issued. It is not. 1108 use of district facilities was modified and was approved, and it needs to be issued, and it has not. And then we just approved the 101, so we'll look forward to that to be issued. In each case, also our table of contents obviously would need to be updated with that information, so we're making that request. We do have 2 items still on our list. The procurement policy was past its 2-year review, so that is an action we still have. And we also had the asset policy that we were working on. Those were assigned activities that hadn't been completed yet, so we'll continue on with those.
Very much. We will go ahead and with that, excuse me, move on to director's comments. I will start us off. This is our first month at 1 p.m. Thank you, people, for coming. Thank you guys for being here, and thank you for doing the work to get this stuff done. So I appreciate the participation. I hope we can continue forward with this stuff, and really, truly, you let us know what you guys need. So thank you to everyone for the collaborative efforts. Thank you. And again, congratulations to AC Bravo. And yeah, any other director comment?
I have a question for the policy ad hoc committee. How far are we from bringing you said there's 2 items that need to be continued. How far are we from bringing those to the board to vote on?
Okay. I don't know time-wise what the answer to that is. We've asked for some participation in some of that activity, and it's been difficult to schedule, so that's a factor. I think what we will probably do is try to proceed on with as much as possible involvement as we can get it. We kind of did that with the job description, making requests for inputs. We forwarded on with that, went forward on with that activity and was successful, I guess, in presenting that tonight. So we'll proceed. One of the two was the purchasing policy change, and that does probably need to have some pretty good amount of activity associated with it and getting it to where it needs to be. So that may take a while, but I don't see it to be a long-term activity.
Anybody else? Director comments? Bill, go ahead.
Okay, since the board has suggested that we don't need a policy committee and we should bring all the policies to the board meeting, I will begin to work on the 40 plus policies, and you'll see them in your next board packet as much as I can get printed up. So put some ink in your printer, folks.
Okay. I'll make a comment with regard to, I did hear and have heard routinely that, other places are doing policies this way or that way. I have also been in contact with other places, and I find them to be doing things very similar to what we have been suggesting to do. So I think you'll find a magnitude of different ways that people are going about this. So, I don't think we can rely on other approaches or other techniques to make a determination based on a limited scope. I'd also would suggest that, we do have some very, information that I know of from even the Garden Valley activity that says they've made the comment that they don't have their policies brought up to speed the way they'd like as well. So I think there may be some issues with just having any of that activity take place effectively with resources that everybody is limited with. So that's a concern.
Okay, also, there was a comment about the staff should do the policies and then bring them to us. But at the LAFCO meeting, the county people specifically said, policy is the jurisdiction of the board, and the board needs to take care of it. So, I mean, this idea that we have to wait for staff, I'm sure they will comment on this. But they told us.
I think you're misunderstanding what was said, because I heard something different as well.
Yeah, I want to just clarify what I said. What I said was the board is absolutely the one who sets policy. How you get that done, like Director Williams said, you could do it a number of different ways. Generally, and what I would recommend is that however the need for the policy arises, it's not uncommon for staff to bring it up and say, hey, this policy is not working for us in the field. Can we work on some changes and bring it to the board for approval? The board might say, we don't like this policy, we want to tweak it, and assign staff or an ad hoc committee to work with staff on it. I think the comment that I was making was it's very common, and you should rely on staff to help draft those policies. It is absolutely the board that sets them, adopts them, and sets policy direction.
For the policies that are not listed, are they not on Lexipol, the website, or both? Okay.
The short answer is Lexipol has blanket policies out there that they recommend that you look at and adapt them to your use. You want to change the names and then things that do or do not work, but Lexipol does a great job at drafting a policy that you can apply, to your agency, but you do have to look at it and you do have to tweak it and you do have to make it your own, if that makes sense.
Thank you very much. All right. With that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Moved.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Next meeting is Thursday, May 22nd at 1 p.m.